3, 2.
Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Jeff with Junior Hockey Advisor. It's Sunday night. It's time to talk a little bit of hockey. Let's see if we can get on track and get rolling tonight. Hey, we got a lot of things to cover. Most of it is coming from questions. If you're following me on the Facebook Junior Hockey Advisor discussion group, you'll know that I requested some help on guiding the priorities for this year. As far as this pandemic has put me behind on so many things because leagues haven't been up and running yet. So things that I've normally put out the last few years on a pretty much regular schedule have all been delayed. So I've asked a lot of people to go online, look at some of the old videos, find which ones they wanted refreshed for this year. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So we got some other things to talk about too. Let's get rolling. So let's say hi to a few people. We've got Perry from Long Island. We've got, oh boy, I'm going to leave that name alone so I don't get myself in any kind of X-rated situations. Keith is on from Des Moines. Anthony's on from Colorado Springs. Dan's on from Wisconsin. Brendan's on from Ohio. Brendan from Brendan, Ohio. That's pretty cool. Tim's in Kansas City. My cousin Jeannie's always on. Jeannie, good to see you on the line there from Flint, Michigan. We got Sean and MJ from Washington. Runaways from Iowa and loving it here. Okay, I can see that. Rockford, Illinois is in the house. Philadelphia, Hamburg with William. Scarborough, Kentucky. We've got Jacobs on, of course. So we got a good group started right now. Numbers are good. Numbers are climbing. We're seeing people coming on. A lot of things to talk about. Some of the things you requested and some of the things I want to talk about. First of all, I really would like to see some interaction with some questions coming in tonight. Some live questions. Keep me on my toes. Keep me good at this at trying to answer questions from you live. I always find that to be more fun when we have interactive questions. However, until then, I want to cover a couple of topics. One is representation, and this came in several different questions and several different conversations. This week that I put a lot of effort into. We had a lot of new people on the Facebook discussion group come in this week. We had over 200 new members. Welcome if you're new to the program. I'm glad you're here. And what I did was I laid out some very basic things. I gave a starter pack of videos. Put up the webinars for easy access on that thread on the discussion group with the welcoming of the new members. Put a sample of this show up, and I really tried to drive, what people are looking for. Well, what that spurred was, first of all, we had a lot of people jump on and watch the webinars. And if you don't know, the 2 free webinars that we offer right now is one on All About the Family Advisor. And so the questions about representation, I'm going to say this. If you haven't watched the webinar, or if you haven't gone through the exercise of the webinar, and it doesn't take long, 1 to 2 hours, and you can get through the webinar. First of all, if I were a parent and somebody offered that to me when I needed it, that gave me the who, what, when, where, and why of the representation. Remember, I'm not an advisor. My name is Jeff Colson. Been doing this for 35 years as an owner, as a GM, as a coach, as a parent. I've been through this on both the men's side and the women's side. And I offer a path to kind of get you through the process and to help you understand the process. But I don't represent players individually. But I put together a webinar to help explain the process. So when you ask questions like, well, do I need an advisor? Well, that's really what that webinar is for. So jump in and watch that webinar. And really, that's where you should start your baseline on this whole process. 15 years old, 16 years old, 17 years old, it doesn't matter. Jump in, 18 years old, 19 years old, it doesn't matter. Now, if I were in the industry and I was a coach, or if I was an advisor, and we've got 200-300 people that are either coaches, GMs, or advisors, and we've got people in the group, our discussion group, or the actual Facebook group itself, from everything from USHL, BCHL, North American Hockey League, GMs, coaches. If I were them, All right, and this I'm speaking to all of you. And these are people that are some are people that I work with professionally. Some are friends. I would use that as a baseline. Anytime I'm talking to a parent, I'd refer them to that video. It's a free resource on how to learn how to deal with the process. So start there with that video. There is no charge on that, and it's a good chance for you to get an understanding of the baseline of how the whole process works, what a good advisor does. And if I was an advisor and I'm watching this, I'd be reaching out to grab that webinar and I'd be giving it to my clients and say, hey, look, this is what you should be looking for. This is what you should strive for. If I'm really good at the business, I'd want people to have that as the baseline to weed myself out from the group so they could see what a good advisor does and what a not so good advisor does. So that's first thing on the representation side. So the next thing is I'd grab the next webinar. And the next webinar is, it's how to reach your ultimate goals in the process. It works through how to build your team, how to brand yourself, how to put a messaging a process together. Basically, it's me as an MBA working with you to try to steer the mindset more into a business thought process. Because if you're in this and you're trying to move into the junior ranks and you're trying to move into the college ranks, there is a sense that there is a business side to this. Let's not, the other side looks at it purely as a business side. The coaches, the GMs, the scouts, most of them are in paid positions. They look at this as a business. And if you're saying, well, my kid just plays for fun, he just wants to play with juniors for fun, that's great. But if you're playing tier 3, you're paying for it. And I don't know of anybody that wants to make any kind of decision that's going to cost them $7,000, $10,000, $15,000 where they don't understand that it's a business and understand how to go through the process a little bit better. The second part of that is when you get to college, that's clearly a situation where if there's scholarship money online, the process takes you to money. You could walk away with $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 worth of scholarship money, or at the D3 level grant aids, or at the ACHA level, other kinds of rewards for school. Why wouldn't you take this as a business? Why wouldn't you look at this as a business? So I put two things together for you. And if you're asking questions and you're new, please take the time to go to those two. They're easy access. You can go right to juniorhockeyadvisor.com. Junior Hockey Advisor. Leave the out. It's not Junior Hockey Advisor. It's juniorhockeyadvisor.com. Go there, grab those 2 free videos, watch them, and see if that'll help you a little bit on the process. And then we can talk. You got questions after you go through those 2. The first thing I'd like to see if you have questions is say, I've watched your webinars. I have this question. That will make me happy because then I know you've actually tried to educate yourself a little bit, and then we can get into some other discussions along the way. So let's jump into some of the questions. I'm seeing some things pop up here. All right, let's start off here with Brian. Brian says, hi. Brian from Pittsburgh, question to you or for you. If a kid is brought into a junior team late in the season like this one, is there a discounted rate usually for the team prorated? So the question is there a prorated rate? And the answer is usually yes. This year, I cannot answer that with a solid, affirmed absolutely, because some teams have backloaded their seasons with the amount of games coming up. I mean, there's teams in the North American Hockey League that have 6 games played, and they still have to get their 40-something games in before the end of the year. So of course, the NUL doesn't charge you, but I'm saying just know that this year is a little bit different. If you normally came in this point of the year and there were 20 or 30 games in, of course you'd pay. And usually what the coaches will do, they'll either divide it by the total number of games. Some coaches will break it down by how many practices they've had and how many they have left and just prorate it off the amount of practice time. Some will do it month by month. They'll say, hey, you're only going to skate with us through mid-February and through mid-March, and we're done. You got 2 months, and we'll charge you 2 months out of what the full season of 8 months costs. So there's different ways of prorating it, but yes, usually. Now this year it's a tough one because who knows how this each team is set as far as games. There's different leagues that are extending into May now, and it would not surprise me to see some of the leagues actually extending out into June to finish everything up with playoffs. So with that said, that's about as good as I can do for you on that one, Brian. Tough question, but I'm glad you asked. And if I get any more information, I don't think there's any edicts that have been put out. USA Hockey is really not trying to rewrite their rule books because of the pandemic. They're hoping this is short term. And most of those rules, although on the junior side there's a junior council that covers it. Remember, the largest junior league in the United States right now is not playing by the rules of USA Hockey, and that's the USPHL. They fall outside the rules of USA Hockey. Now, most of the rules are very similar, but they have the ability to do whatever they want, and they're not controlled by a governing body. So, okay, let's see what we got next here. The question is, do you provide goalie-specific guidance and or webinar? That's a great question. So first of all, goalie-specific is a little bit more than I do for this. There are some sources out there that do just goalie work, and there's advisors out there that like to work just with goalies, and there's goalie programs out there. I do not offer goalie specific. I talk about the process, and I'll tell you some unique things from time to time on what makes a goalie different. Goalie decisions from coaches can happen instantaneously. I've seen it happen more than with forwards and D. You've heard me say this. A decision will be made on a goalie on one outing where they see one flash of a save, a couple rebound controls, gutsy play in one situation, and I'll see NHL scouts go, that guy can play. I'll see Division I coaches go, I want that guy on the team. And I'm not talking just any Division I coaches. I've seen this happen from the best of the best. Hall of Fame level Division I coaches make snap decisions on goalies, whereas I rarely see a snap decision being made on a forward or a defenseman. So there is a little bit of a difference there. If you have some specifics, feel free after you watch the webinar to reach out to me, and I'll see if there's some things I can put together. But no, I don't really try to break out and categorize on the goaltending situation, and I would not be doing any service to anybody on that. I was never a goalie coach. I've always had somebody help me, and I've always had a support group when I pick a goalie for a junior team, or when we traded for a goalie or we traded a goalie. I always had help on that. So I don't propose or don't even try to play as a goalie expert. I've always had good people around me. But if you do need, advice on that, DM me. I can't send you to somebody that is an advisor because I don't recommend advisors on here. That's not good. I'm just too, I try to stay in the middle and give you information about them. But I've got people that are in the goalie world that I would refer you to if you want to DM me on that. And maybe they could help you out on getting you steered in the right direction. So thanks for that question. Let's jump on here for another one. Do you have a ranking list of showcases or combines you recommend or don't recommend? Which is the best for player development or evaluation? Best value, most effective for evaluation, advancing, etc. I am looking specifically for what is best for goalies. Thanks for the help. That's a great one, Kurt. I'm glad you threw that one up there. So, I feel like a lawyer sometimes on here because I say it depends. And I'm married to a lawyer. My daughter's in her third year of law school. I get a lot of that around the house. Well, it depends, because that's the great lawyer answer to most things. What do you think about this? Well, it depends. It could be this or it could be that. It really depends. So we're going to try to steer you a little on this one. There's some key things you should look for when you're looking for showcases, especially for goalies. Or honestly, it doesn't really pertain to just goalies. And I'm going to say showcases, and I'm going to say main camps, because you've got to go through the experience a little bit. And if you could, Kurt, throw up an age for me, because that would help a little bit on where you're trying to go on this. If you could just shoot me an age on the on your actual when you're typing in there. So your question on your comment section. It's one of those nights watching football today. That was a great day for watching football. Okay, so anyway, showcases. A couple things you look for. They're all going to be relatively the same price. You want to be, for the most part, in a hockey hub. You want to be in a showcase that, and obviously there's some it's easy peasy for the most part when it comes to junior and college level showcase exposure. The Boston market has, a stranglehold on that. Not just one, but there's several of them. And this is including USPHL Showcase. That's they bring in and draw in a lot of D3 coaches and a lot of Tier 3 junior coaches to watch, and also their own coaches through the NCDC and USPHL. So the Boston area is extremely important for showcases. I use the example on here a lot of times of the pre-draft or the Beantown, some of the different names that are out there. You can go to these websites, and a couple of things you look for. One is the currency of the website. Is there information? Are they bragging about things that happened 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, or is there information relevant to what's going on right now? Meaning, are they on top of things? Are they actually putting new information up? Number two, output. Look at some of the teams, and a lot of times you can pull up rosters. And in most of these cases, you can pull up rosters. You can pull up teams from the past. You can look at the archives to see which teams are in it, which teams are always there, which teams have multiple teams, and who those guys are. Now, I've used names in the past, and it's a little unfair because we've got a lot of very, very good providers on here. But there's the Western Canada Elite Group. There's the Rock City Elite Group. There's a lot. The Boston Rangers, I think, is one. There's a lot of these good groups out there that have good teams that put in these into these showcases. But they all usually run multiple teams. So the first thing you have to look at is try to get on the highest level team you can get on inside of that group. They're going to have their gunner team that's just loaded full. Then they're going to have another quality team, and sometimes they even have a third quality team. You don't necessarily always have to be on the top team, but you definitely don't want to be on the fourth or fifth team that's just the fill-in team, and that's their profit-making teams. And these are businesses, and so they'll probably not say no to somebody, and they'll probably give you the same jerseys and the same attention, but the level of quality of the team you have playing in the same division usually of their gunner team. You just have to be careful on that. So you got to ask questions on that. Where do I fit, and how am I going to fit in? As a goalie, you don't want to be on a team with three goalies. Two goalies is a good mix, and then you got to ask that question. And this is the question you ask ahead of time: am I playing every game, or are we flip-flopping games? And then you have to do your homework on: is this a 3-game and out showcase elimination? Meaning, if we don't make it to the playoff round, we only play 3 games and go home. Is it 4 games? Because if you're the number 2 goalie in the rotation and it's a 3-game situation, you could end up going to a showcase and playing 1 game. The best situation to be in is to be in a situation where you're going to split the game 50-50 with the other goalie. Now, unless the team is so good that you're willing to take the chance and be on a team that's really good, that's getting a lot of exposure, that team is just chock full of great talent, and you want to be on it. There are goalies that will, just like there's players that will say, look, I know I won't get the same ice time because I'm batting above my average with this team, but I want to be on that team because it's good exposure and it's a good experience. So that's where it depends comes into play. Your hubs. Where are your hubs? Well, there are good showcases in the Boston area. We know that. There's a couple in the Michigan market that are effective. There's one in the Colorado market. There's one in the Tennessee market. And it's pretty easy to find these names and to find out which ones they are. You want to see events that if they advertise coaches, the currency of the coaches. This year we have these coaches committed to come watch, because some of these showcases are more of a collective event where the coaches are actually on the bench coaching you and they put the teams together. The Colorado event is like that, where you're not really playing on a free market team. You're signing up and coming to this event, and then they're going to break you into groups. Then you're going to go and play on a team with a group of guys you've never played with before, or very few of them you've played with before. And there may be a junior or a college coach that coaches you. And sometimes that's great because you get a chance to build a relationship with coaches, assistant coaches, and full-time head coaches too. Now, here's that. If you walk away tonight, if you walk away with one piece of advice that's going to work for you, never think, oh, that guy's only a D3 coach, or that guy's only a Tier 3 coach. Oh, that guy is only coaching U18. And as soon as you think that, that's the guy that gets promoted, and all of a sudden he's a college coach. Or that's the guy that becomes the head coach of a Big Ten team, and he was coaching a D3 program. This is such a small world. When you're at these events, especially if you're a younger player, 14, 15, 16 years old, and you meet an assistant coach of a junior team, how are you? Great to meet you. Look him in the eye. Get to know him, okay? If it's an assistant coach of a D3 program that you probably will never go to, how are you? Great to meet you. Get to know him. Because across the board, these are important contacts for you down the line because you never know where these guys are going to end up. They're all gunning to try to get to the next level. They all want to be, professionals. Well, I'd say most of them want to be professionals in the industry. And if they do, and they're in a part-time job or they're in a job that doesn't pay well, they want to move up the ladder, just like you as a player do. So the situation is always the same. It doesn't matter who your coach is. Build a great relationship with him. I can tell you right now, I can give you story after story after story after story of coaches that remember, like elephants, they remember. Yeah, I talked to that kid. I talked to that kid when I was coaching for this junior team, and he blew me off, or his parents were jerks, or something. No, I saw all I need to see of that kid. You never know where people are going to take you in this industry, and you have to make sure you build good relationships across the board and try not to burn bridges. I know there are people out there that are jerks. There's not that many in hockey. I'm serious. Not as many as we try to play it out to be. Most people are trying to do the right thing at all times. They really are trying to do the right thing. Some people are better at it than others, but they're trying to do the right thing. So it's always a good idea to try to put your best foot forward with these relationships. So if there's anything you walk away with tonight to help develop your relationship in this industry, is to do that and to help yourself out there. So, okay, let's see if I can help out in some other ways here. So the question is, do I have a ranking? No, because it's relative. What's a good showcase for somebody that's going to be an ACHA or a D3 level player is not the same showcase that's good for somebody that's a potential NHL player. Okay, some of these intersect, some of these showcases intersect, but there are different events that are good for different people. So there's no way to rank them out. I've tried to put videos together out in the past, and they just don't work because it really is something you have to educate yourself on. If I'm a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old right now, I really want to go to 2 or 3 events, and I want to ask a lot of questions of the other parents and other players at those events. And you'll see the parents. You'll see some of these parents that go to 5 or 6 events in a summer. I really don't think you need to do that. Now, if you got the time and the money, and that's what you like to do, no problem at all. Have at it. There's no law against it, and it's a free market. Do it. I'm not saying, I don't judge on that. I don't think that anybody should judge you if you decide that you and your family want to do 4 or 5 showcase events. But if you can do 2 or 3, I think you're going to find that an effective number. Because as you get older, a couple things come into play. Main camps start coming into play somewhere between 15, 16, and 17 years old for most players. Main camps are things that you're invited to at Tier 3, Tier 2, and Tier 1 junior hockey. And a main camp is where you actually go, and it's set up very similar to a showcase. You're going to get assigned a team. You're going to play a round robin. Now, they don't play a championship game. They really don't keep – the scores are kept, but they don't keep score in the games for the purpose of your team moving on as a team. What they do is then they'll pick an all-star game, and they'll put together an all-star game. Sometimes they'll put together 2 all-star games. Now, keep this in mind. You can be the leading scorer. You can have 3 goals a game in a showcase, or excuse me, in a main camp. In a main camp, you can have 3 goals a game and not make the all-star team. You're going to like, why? What the heck? Well, first of all, they might say, we know what that kid can do. He's 15 years old. He had a great time, event here, but we're really vying for that 19-year-old because we know we're going to put him on the roster this year, and we're not going to put the 15-year-old on the roster. So we want to watch him play again. So never get jammed up if you don't get invited to an all-star game. I've seen kids that have actually been drafted by that team the next year not make the all-star game, and also the next year they get drafted by the team because that team knew what they were doing. They knew what that kid could do, and that's fine on that side. So I hope that helps a little bit, Kurt, and I'll look for some more information on this. Let's see what Dave has to say here. Dave says, I'm sure you've seen hundreds of highlight reels and videos. What are a couple of things that you'd like to see or some no-nos? Oh, this is awesome. I love talking videos, and actually I love putting them together. And in fact, I'm thinking, send me some messages and see. I'm thinking of actually putting a little bit of a side gig together and just doing some video editing and having some fun with it, and making it a low-cost little thing where I do on the side. Let me know if you'd be interested. DM me or put it in the comments here and let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. Now, there's absolutely a lot of things you got to do with video. One is, don't be bashful. You can use video in many, many ways. However, you want to keep your video literally 1 to 3 minutes. 1 to 3 minutes is all you need. And because the rules have changed, it used to be coaches, you'd always hear them saying, I want you to send me the whole video, send me everything. I want to see everything in the video. I just don't want your highlights. I want the whole film. Well, that's their job now, because there's hockey TV. There's ability to, for a coach to download it, send a coach, a youth coach, 16 or 18 coach, to send the whole video to a coach. There's just too many ways for that coach to get it. You don't have to get involved with sending a whole video when you're in the marketing side of this whole game. However, a couple little tricks. One is YouTube, Vimeo, whatever your source to house videos, have an account or have a channel set up just for your videos. Now here is where it becomes fun for you, because you're going to have that 1 to 3 minute video. You're going to have that piece, and that's going to be your highlight, and you're going to try to hit all the areas. You don't want to just show goals. You just don't want to show hits if you're a big hitter. You just don't want to show fights if you're a tough guy. Now, there's nothing wrong with showing goals. There's nothing wrong with showing hits. There's nothing wrong with showing great passes. There's nothing wrong with throwing a fight in there if that's what you want to show. Okay, but you just don't want to load it all up on that. You want to show some balance in there, and you want it quick, to the point, and show what you can do. And if you've got the technology and you know how to do it, circle your player at the beginning of the play, just to put a circle on it, or point an arrow to the right person so the coach isn't going back 3 or 4 times. Stop the video for that 3 seconds, point an arrow so they know where they're looking. You don't have to say, great goal by Joey. No, just point an arrow there. Let them know where the play's at, because then they're not looking around going, because you remember, most of the video quality, you're getting it off Live Barn, you're getting it off Hockey TV, or you're shooting it yourself. It's usually not the best quality of video, but that's a little highlight tip. You can put music to it. Coaches aren't going to be bothered if you put music. Sometimes the music helps build a little bit of a mood or a mode. There's nothing wrong with putting your vitals on the beginning. If it was me, Jeff Colson, 6'3", 195 pounds, built like a left winger, power forward, whatever you want to put. No, in all seriousness, name, age, what hand you shoot, what position you play, and maybe put your GPA on there. That's all you need. You can put that on the screen, boom, flash that up at the beginning. At the end, if you want to put your phone number and you want to put your contact information, Jeff Colson, here's my phone number, here's my email, that's fine. And then you use that link on your emails and your texts and if you Twitter a coach or whatever your social media is, use the link, use the link, use the link. Because what you're going to do on your page and on your channel is you're going to load up other information. You're going to put highlight hits. You're going to put highlight goals. And when they click on the channel to watch that video, all of a sudden there's going to be populated 3 or 4 other videos that you can put on there. So if the coach really wants to look at more, he can look at more. And you can actually see how many people are looking at the other videos. And it'll also help. If one video seems to get a little more attention than the other ones, oh, there's something here. They like this one. And you can watch how much time they spend on the videos. So it's a great thing to do. Use a real short video. Sorry. A real short video. Use it as a link. Like I said, it doesn't matter where you house it, Vimeo, YouTube. I use both of those services for different editing issues. And then, boom, run with your highlight. Now, it's obviously easier when you've got quality video. It's great if you're playing in a league that's got announcers, because then you can keep that feed on there to build the hype. In other words, if somebody's announcing the game and, hey, Jeff Colson goes down, puts one top shelf, oh my gosh, what a goal. Leave that on there. Leave that on there. Make that part of it, because that's fun for the coaches to hear, and it builds that excitement. So you can use those little tactics and those little tricks, short edits, information, use arrows to point to the information, and let them worry about getting the full video to get more of information of you by the teaser video. That teaser video is to get more information later. That's all it is, to get the information, the full video or more conversation with you later. So hope that helps on that one. Great question, Dave. Way to make me have something to talk about that I actually know about. It always makes me feel better when I feel like I'm actually contributing something here. Okay, here's another one. And I can't see this. This comes up as Facebook user, so I'm not really sure who this is, but thank you for the question. If your player has a chance to play Junior A and has 2 teams looking at them, one team is a good team and the other team is rebuilding, would you go to the better team? Let's see. Let's put that back up there again. Would you go to the better team and not play as much, or go to the weaker team and have a bigger role? I'm a lawyer again. It depends, okay? If you are in the recruiting process, in other words, this is the time where this team is going to elevate you. In other words, I'm playing 16s and it's going to be my chance to move up to a junior team. First of all, junior A is relative. Junior A is tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. That doesn't really distinguish what level. If I'm playing, let's say tier 3 junior hockey, and my goal is to leave that junior level, and that's a league of destination for me. And in other words, I know I'm not going to play in the North American Hockey League. I'm not going to play in the USHL. I'm not going to play in the BCHL. And tier 3 is the level I'm going to play at, because remember, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, they're all junior A, okay? In Canada, junior A is the CJHL. So there's 10 different leagues, and those 10 different leagues are, there's apples and oranges. There are a lot of hockey players in the CJHL that can never play in the BCHL. It's just that league is the creme de la creme, and that's where all of your everything from your NHL draft pick player plays there, to most of your Division I talent that comes out of. Remember, the BCHL is always fighting for that second and third spot in the overall amount of players produced per capita, per players in the league on average. It's always the USHL has the most Division I commits. North American Hockey League and BCHL jump back and forth. In total numbers, the North American Hockey League wins. But when you break it down by team, the BCHL usually has more commits per team. But because the North American Hockey League has more teams than the BCHL, they usually win the overall battle. But it's always close between the two. AJHL is usually in fourth place, and then there's a drop off, and that goes into usually the OJHL up in the Ontario Junior Hockey League, or the Central Canadian Hockey League, CCHL, which is still in the Ontario area, but it's on the outer edge. The OJ's more, in the southern part of the east part of the Toronto market, south and east-west. No, more east, I'm sorry. But that's the way it works. So when you say junior A, I got a video on this, and the video is in the starter pack. If you go on there and it says the rankings don't matter, the rankings are worthless. Watch that video it's called "The Rankings Are Worthless," and the reason why is it'll break down every single league, and it holds true in every single junior league. The better team has the most commitments. Period. The better team always has the most commitments. The first place team in the league always has the most commitments. There's two reasons for that. One is they're good, and maybe they're in first place because they're good. And the other part of it is college coaches come to watch the first and second and third place teams more than they watch the seventh, eighth, and ninth place teams. Okay, so you really have to be good if you're on the ninth place team. Now, if I'm looking to break into the league, I'll give you an example. You're in the Alberta Junior Hockey League market. You're up in Alberta. And this works for any league, but I know that league fairly well. And I really want to play in the AJ. I really think that's a great league, and it is. It's a really good league. It's very competitive. You can take the top 3 or 4 teams in that league and drop them into any other league in junior hockey, USHL, BCHL, North American Hockey League, and they'll compete, okay? And Brooks leading the way. Great league. Now, I don't get an offer from Brooks, okay? But I want to be in that league, and I know I'm a good player. Olds is in last place, and usually in the last few years, that's where they've been for a few years. Olds offers me a spot. I want to be in that league. I go to Olds. I break in. I get in the door. And then I can work my way to wherever I want to go from there. So if I'm a 17-year-old, playing on a team that I get good ice time on, I get the experience in the league. Now, in my last year, do I want to be on Olds? Probably not. I want to probably stair step and move my way up. Now, as soon as I say that Olds is going to have a great year, they've got new ownership in the last couple of years. They've got new coaches in there this last year. The pandemic got in the way. They're doing good things there. I'm not picking on Olds. I think they've got a good program out there. My son played in Olds for a little bit. So I'm not looking at Olds as being a problem. I'm just saying there's a good example of the two different situations. If I'm a really, really good junior player, or I'm really projected to go far, I'm already getting D1 conversations, I'm going to want to play on one of those top 2 or 3 teams if I'm going to play in the AJHL, or I want to go to a better league. Okay, so it's relative. I hope that helps a little bit. It's not, an exact science, but if you go watch that video about the rankings, it'll break down how the rankings work. Because remember, the CJHL ranks teams up in Canada. They rank all the leagues, and they give you this literally politically correct ranking system that has at least one team from every one of the CJHL leagues. All 10 leagues get at least one team that makes the top 10 or top 20. And it's ridiculous because, the BCHL is chock full of NHL drafts, NHL prospects, D1 commits, and it's a phenomenal league. It's one of the best leagues in the world. And they'll have 2 teams out of the top 10 in all of Canada. And then you'll see, no, believe me, there's no offense. I'm not trying to pick on the SIJHL, but the Superior International Junior Hockey League, rarely has a quality player that can move up into the next level, meaning college hockey. And because of that, they really shouldn't have a team that's ranked in the top 10. Even if that team's undefeated, they shouldn't be in the top 10. So watch that video. The rankings are worthless. It'll help you understand how teams are developed, how they're designed, and you can really get a sense of every single league. I compare the NCDC. I break down the North American Hockey League. I break down the BCHL. I break down the AJ. I break down the CCHL. I show you the rosters of all those different leagues, and I show you where the talent is and why it's always on top. First place team, boom. And then I show you, I juxtapose that against the rankings and show you how ridiculous those rankings look. There's some junior sites out there that put some rankings out, and they're arbitrary. And if you ask them, if you call it out, and I wished you as watchers would do this, call them out on it. Text them, social media them and say, hey, how come you rank these teams this way? And they'll say, oh, we've got people in the field. We have junior coaches all over in North America, and this is their advice. Well, yeah, if I'm a last place team in the SIJHL and they ask me if I can get my name in the rankings and they call me up, I'm going to say, sure, put my team in there. It's ridiculous. Watch that video. I think you'll find it very, very effective and useful. All right, let's see what else we got here. We got a lot of people coming on. Holy smokes. Okay, thanks, Paul, 16-year-old goalie. All right, what's better to play, 18 UAA or juniors tier 3? Here's a great question. This is a really good question, Perry. Thanks for the question, Perry. What's better to play, 18 AA or juniors tier 3 for an 04 17-year-old? Okay, so once again, I should go to law school. Maybe I'm destined to be, one of those 55 or 56-year-old law students that are walking around with the rest of the law students. Maybe that's where I should go. I don't know. But these answers are all sounding very lawyerly. It depends. Perry, it depends. And here's what it depends on. It depends on the quality of the U18 league, the quality of the U18 team, the quality of your coach to help progress you up the line, how aggressive you are to try to move up and what you're trying to do. And then you've got to look at the junior process on the other side. Remember, it's very difficult for a player to get out of Tier 3 junior hockey. And I'm going to repeat that again. If you go down the path of Tier 3 junior hockey, it is difficult to move to the North American Hockey League. It's difficult to move to the USHL. It's difficult to move to the CJHL. Part of it is you get branded. Part of it is remember, Tier 3 teams look at the world differently. Some teams, I shouldn't say all, and they're not looking to progress players as much as they're looking to retain players. I'll give you a perfect example. And the perfect example is the USPHL. It's a self-enclosed process, meaning if I play on a Tier 3 team, they have an affiliation with the NCDC. Okay, as good as a few teams in the NCDC are, and there's some really, really good teams there. You hear me say this all the time. The Boston Junior Bruins can compete with anybody. The New Jersey Hitmen can compete with anybody. And there's always one or two other teams that can compete with anybody in that league. The fall off is drastic after that, though. But that league is self-enclosed. They're going to process you up, and if you're talented enough to move up, they're going to try to retain you on their team and then process you up to the NCDC. They're not looking to try to sell you to the outside world. Whereas if you're playing for a team in the USA hockey system, the North American Hockey League team works with the USHL. If you're in that system, your odds of being able to move up a little bit are better, but it's still very slim. So if you go into the world of Tier 3, and what I mean by that is, even if I'm playing in an NA3HL league, it's very difficult. I mean, I have to be really good. I have to be one of the top players in the league. I'm talking top 5 players in the league to be able to move up to the North American Hockey League. That's the gap difference. And you can say, well, there's always a kid that gets drafted for my team. That's by design. The North American League always drafts one player from each NA3HL team, okay? The parent team does. They'll also tender one player. So when their coach is recruiting you to play Tier 3 and he goes, yeah, we always get a player that's drafted on our team and we always get a player that's tendered. Look at our history. That's how good we are. It has nothing to do with how good the team is. It's because the league mandates that and they have to do that. So you have to be careful on that side of which one is best. Now remember, there are some great U18 AA teams out there. If it's a stepping stone to get you to the next level to play U18 AAA or to get you to play at a higher level junior, you got to be on a team that actually can push you to the next level. In other words, if that U18 situation, you go, well, every year there's 4, 5, 6 kids that move on to some quality teams and the coach is really always working to try to get them placed on good junior teams, go that route. That's the same way with if you're playing U18 AAA, you can find teams that do a great job of promoting players to the next level. That's where you want to be. So I'd be cautious on jumping to Tier 3 too early on the junior side. Doesn't mean it's not the right choice. It can be. But remember, if I'm a U17 or I'm a 17 player, I'm 17 years old, I've got 18, 19, and 20. And actually, if you're 17, there's actually 4, 17 years old, 18 years old, 19 years old, and 20 years old. I've got 4 years of junior hockey. Really, it can get really monotonous to play Tier 3 junior hockey for that long. The option might be to try to get on the best quality U18 team you can get on. So I know I hedge my bets a little on that answer, but really the answer has to deal with the promotion process, and you don't want to get yourself painted into a corner where you can't get out of something. You never hear that about a U18 team. Oh, he ran into a dead end. You can by a coach that won't promote you, but you've got your options are open to go anywhere out of U18. If you get into Tier 3 junior hockey, you get a moniker of being a Tier 3 junior hockey player, and that's a very difficult brand to move out of once you're there. So, and that's the reality. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's the reality of it. So, all right, let's jump on and see. And Perry, good question, by the way. Okay. Oh, this is a great one. Okay, advice for late bloomers. Okay, first of all, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't believe in late bloomers. I don't believe it. There's late growers, and there's late people that decide to work hard and start taking it serious. But you just don't wake up overnight and people say Michael Jordan was a late bloomer. No, he grew 5 inches. They say Scottie Pippen was a late bloomer. No, he grew 8 inches. Okay, there's late growers, and that could be the growth could be in mass and it could be on height. And there's people that decide to start working hard. That's my world. This is me as a coach or a general manager. I don't believe that late bloomers are all of a sudden you figure it out. Now, you can be a late starter too, meaning I didn't start playing hockey until I was 13, so it took me a couple years to learn how to skate. Yeah, that can happen. That's a late bloomer in the truest sense of the word. But if you're saying, hey, my kid grew and all of a sudden he's being looked at differently now, or my kid finally got serious about this and is starting to work hard and his maturity level notched up. I'm not saying he's mature because I don't believe any 16 or 17 or 18-year-old is mature, but they get more mature, okay? There's a difference there. And so, the question there is advice for them. Well, once again, the advice is if you are late coming into the game for whatever reason, you got serious about it, you had a growth spurt, you started the game late. In those 3 situations, the rules don't really change for you. The nice thing is you've got something interesting to talk about. So when you go watch that video that I put out there about building your brand and the things you need to do to get the ultimate out of this, that's a story maker for you. Hey, look, I started skating when I was 14, or hey, look, I just grew 4 inches and had to relearn how to skate in the last year. Or hey, look, I really was a recreational hockey player and I started working hard at this in the last 6 months. Look at where I've gone now. So that builds that story, and that's where you can help triangulate a story with your coaches, your skill development people, your showcase coach, and you get everybody on the same message there talking about, hey, to be honest with you, that kid's amazing. He started playing hockey when he was 14. He started playing when he was 15. Or, hey, look, the kid was 4'3" 6 months ago. Now he's 6 foot tall. It's amazing what he's done. Okay, so there's a story there. So the advice is take advantage of the story, keep working hard, and, all the same rules for everybody else applies to what is considered a late bloomer. So the process is no different than anything else. If you're having a hard time getting into a team or on a team, once again, that marketing process always stays the same. You try to get into as many showcases as you can get into that allow you to showcase yourself to get an open opportunity. Get into a league, okay? And what I mean by that is there's always a tier 3 team that will take a chance on a late skill, I hate the term, but that late bloomer, meaning you grew late, you got serious late, or you started the game late. Okay, if you're in that situation, there's always a team. There's always a tier 3 team that will take you. Get on a team. Get on a team, and then just like we were talking about earlier with the, once you're in the league and you've established yourself, then you can worry about moving up to the next level. But hardly anybody can move forward if you're going to stay at house or single A. You got to move into double A, then to triple A. So I hope that helps a little bit. I don't know if it does or not, but I hope that helps some. Now, I see they're 19 and 20 years old, a late bloomer. Well, okay, 19 or 20 years old. Once again, now you're at that age of, now you've got to take it a little differently. If you're in your last year of juniors, you try to find yourself the situation that places you. Now, you're rarely you're going to see somebody that falls in that category, that grows super late, that gets serious about it super late, or started the game late, that late bloomer that falls in a category that's going to play D1 or D3 hockey. Can it happen? Yes. So what you want to do is you want to try to get on one of those tier 3 teams that has great relationships with ACHA hockey, and then find a fit. There's always a fit at ACHA too, because there's 3 levels of ACHA hockey. There's a super competitive, Division I level of ACHA, and if you don't know what ACHA is, it's college club hockey. So it's not NCAA hockey. Rules are a little different, but there's a really competitive level, and a lot of those players can compete with the same level as a Division III player or a Division I player. But there's extenuating circumstances across the board. I've had great players that just could not find the right degree and have given up Division I scholarships that have gone and played club hockey at Colgate that has a Division I team, but they wanted to focus on a degree program that literally you could not play sports and get the degree in. I believe if you're in a high-tech degree or if you're in a medical degree and you're really serious about academics, ACHA hockey plays in. So you want to line up with that ACHA situation, and the second level down is good hockey. You start seeing a little bit of double A players in that. Third level down, you get just across the board mix of players at the Division III and ACHA hockey, but it's still college hockey, and it's still you're representing your school, you're having fun, you're going on road trips, and you're still doing a lot of stuff that you're doing at the varsity, the Division I NCAA level or the Division III level. So hope that helps a little bit. We would love to have help with video editing. Okay, I'm a professional videographer. Please don't advertise on here. I'm not looking for that. I was in never mind. Okay, let's get on to Kelly and see what she has to say. What should players be doing communication-wise when they're out for 2 to 3 months for an injury? The same exact thing they should be doing if they were playing. In fact, even more so now. You've got a story. Hey, I'm hurt, but here's where I'm at. Here's who I was playing for. Here's what I was doing. Here's my clips before my injury. And it gives them even more time to expand out how many people they're talking to and building that story, building that narrative. So it doesn't change. You still want to get your video clips out there. You still want to be reaching out to schools. You still want to be emailing. You still want to be doing anything you can to put your brand out there, even if you're injured. 2 to 3 months is a very, very long time for a kid when it happens. It's relative. Every hockey player is going to have that injury, that 2 to 3 month injury at some point. Coaches understand that. It gives you a story, and it gives them a chance to talk to your current and former coaches. I would go at that, Kelly, the same way I'd go at it as if I was still playing, and I would still, even if it means traveling with the team or going to the games, hanging out in the stands. Now, pandemic changes things. You might see some junior coaches watching some pandemic games. You don't see as many college coaches there because of the rules and the way things are right now. But I wouldn't change anything at all. So I hope that helps. Let's see what else we got here. Can I link my son's highlight reel as an example? He is a goalie. Can I link it? I'm not really sure what you mean, can I link it? You mean linking it to this? If you do, what I ask you to do is when I welcome new members, every time we welcome, even if you were in the last group and you didn't get the invite, put your highlight reel on there. We encourage you, go to the discussion group, and under the discussion group, you'll see a welcome, and it's got all the things, and it says right on there, hey, go ahead and put your video here. Put in the comments, put your video there, brag a little bit about your kid, put the information there. Believe me, people look at them all the time. Some are fun, some are cute, some are serious. There are all kinds on there. That's where you put it. And that's another place where other people can see it. They'll DM you with comments about it and help you if you're looking to improve your video. It's the AJHL. I'm not really sure what you mean by it's the AJHL. Maybe I missed something in the past on that. That might have connected to something else there. Let's see here. Why would anybody do this to me? I was recording this. I thank you, but the only good news about knowing this is that I want you to know something. That means there's 4 teams left in the NFL right now, and 2 University of Michigan quarterbacks, 2 Michigan quarterbacks led their teams. You had Tom Brady, and then you had Chad Henne. Chad Henne came in for Kansas City in the second half. So 2 of them. That's pretty cool. I don't know how many people can say that their alma mater had 2 of the last 4 teams standing in the NFL with quarterbacks. So it's pretty cool. All right. See what John says here. Thanks, Jeff. Kovac canceled most showcases last spring in the Midwest. Tough for 01 and 02 birth years. Hey, it might be tough for 01 and 02 birth years, but if you're an 00, if you're a 2000, you're almost in a complete cancel with this situation. It's what we're seeing right now, and I'm dealing with this as a parent too. You're seeing Division I commitments being pulled. You're seeing Division I. You're seeing players getting ghosted by teams that were completely on board on recruiting them. And then this is Division I schools ghosting players because the NCAA is allowing all those players to stick around for another year. So if you're a 2000, there's good news and bad news. There's a lot of 2000s that are going to end up playing Division III college hockey that were Division I college hockey. So Division III, kind of like the contraction we saw at junior hockey. Remember, I use this example all the time. Odessa last year traded halfway through the season to get 1 Division I commitment on their team. This year, they've cut or traded 2 division. You never see that. You never see a cut or a trade. They're still sitting on 12, 14 Division I commitments on their team. Okay, and I'm not judging that team on how good they are, how bad they are. I'm saying that's how much the league is improved, where teams that were in last place are now just chock full of Division I talent. So they're in the middle of the road as far as the standings go. But the example is that's how much talent. And now something that didn't happen at first is trickled into the North American Hockey League, and not so much into the USHL, because the USHL has been a little bit more firm on this. They've allowed several of them to come back. But now you're starting to see more trickle in players coming in from the NCAA ranks. A kid that was at a Division I school, now he's back playing juniors because he's age eligible, and you can still do that. The rules were opened up where you can stay enrolled, do your classes online, and go play juniors again. So the same things happen if you're a Division I candidate and you're being recruited by 4, 5, 6 schools. There's a chance that they're ghosting you now, and you're not getting the love that you got before. I'm seeing it across the USHL. I'm seeing it from BCHL level players. I'm seeing it in North American Hockey League players, NCDC level players, that they're just not getting the same love. And here's another thing. I'm hearing Division III, top Division III teams saying, Now we're set for next year. We're not really looking to bring in another goalie. We're not. You never hear that, but that's the climate we're in with this COVID situation. So, interesting situation across the board. Okay. Family members always got to put something in there. I don't believe that. It does not suck. Okay, greetings from China. Is the NAPHL showcase highly scouted by NAHL teams? In the possibility that I am not going to make friends with the North American Hockey League, I'm going to say no, but I'm going to say that with a caveat. There's always eyes there from their top teams. They might not have an actual, because remember, the NAPHL teams are all connected to a NA3HL team and then connected to an AHL team. So there is a connection some way, so there's always eyes on players at those showcase events. However, it might not be direct. You go to a Tier 1 Elite showcase, you're getting direct North American Hockey League, BCHL, USHL, and Division I teams, Division III teams watching you. That NAPHL event might have mostly people there from the Tier 3 teams, but they're wearing dual hats. If there's a kid that really stands out, that information is getting back to the North American Hockey League team too, because they're usually wearing dual hats and have multiple roles that they play within the organization. So hopefully that helps a little bit. I got to put this one on. How could I not put this comment on? You're looking great, Jeff. Why, thank you. Once again, why does it have to say Facebook user? I'd like to give that one an individual thank you, Bob, or thank you, Steve, or thank you, Susie. I'd like to know the name of that one. But anyway, I got to put that one up again. Thanks for doing these each week. Appreciate all the information. That's why we're here. Now, don't forget, this isn't all just me being Mother Teresa. If you want to do a chaos call, and I call them chaos calls because it's usually trying to work you out of wherever you got your head worked up in this. I do those. They're on the website. I do a chaos call is 1 hour with me. I'm not an advisor. I'm not going to steer you. I'm not going to make phone calls for you, but we can work through the process issues that you might come across. And if you're about to hire an advisor and you want to talk about the issues and make sure you've got all your ducks in a row, if you're, considering several things and you just want to talk it out, I'm there to help in those situations. So that's something that I do. If you're in the industry, I do webinars that cost money for somebody that's looking to become a professional in the industry. So if you're just starting out and you want to break in and learn as much as you can and get into detail on the scouting side, the general manager side, the coaching side, from a professional standpoint, I've got webinars on those too. But for the most part, this content is what it is. It's free stuff. So, okay. Let's see what Kelly has to say again. Kelly, you're getting on twice in one night here. Here in the USA Hockey, pushing back nationals, particularly in states like Washington, totally shut down. Any news on how that's playing out at the district level? This is the only big news on the USA Hockey front is the New York lawsuit. New York, and I know most of the people. I know the president of the New York organization. This is the District of New York, USA Hockey District. These are good people. They're people that really put the effort in to do the right thing. And I think they were late to the party, but they finally went and sued Governor Cuomo for the right to play hockey in the state of New York. That's the only news I've heard on this. USA Hockey is being extremely quiet on every issue they can. And part is the same situation you have with the federal government. There's an emergency process in place to assist with COVID issues from the federal government, but really it's the state's responsibility to execute, and they really have all the rules. So in the hockey, it's the same way. Each of these different districts, are all set to do their own thing. So USA Hockey really has to let the state level, the district level, decide how they're going to handle this. And do it within the rules of their own state. So the only news I have is on the New York side. It's out there. It's on many different. If you just Google lawsuit, hockey lawsuit, Governor Cuomo in New York, you'll pull up the article. I don't know if I posted that or not. I usually don't post those things because I don't want to get political on our website. So anyway, hey, look, let's see what Matt's got to say. Matt says, some insights on the NAPHL. Assume everyone here knows that each NHL team gets 2 tenders for players only from the NAP. Yes, I mentioned that a little earlier, Matt. Thanks for bringing that up again. You will get tenders across the board coming from those teams. It's still a difficult road. You're still competing against all those other kids coming from the HPHL, coming from the Beast, coming from other areas. But, that's coming from somebody that would know. That's a general manager of a North American Hockey League team. And he's putting himself out there, letting you know that does happen, that's the way things work. Matt, I hope I didn't out you too bad there. Do not DM Matt on that situation, please. He's being friendly enough to help you out there. Okay, here comes another one from a Facebook user. 17-year-old leading his last place team, USPHL team in scoring, stay and put up points or look to get to the top team in the same league or others. So this is a perfect example. Here you go. So the question is, I got a 17-year-old. He's leading his last place team in scoring. Where do you go? Well, if you believe that you can stay on a last place team as a leading scorer and progress, stay there. Okay, if you see a path. And the path is pretty easy. Do your homework. Go on Elite Prospects. Look at the history of the team. Look what they boast as far as moving players up. If there's not a progression path that's there, it's time to move on, okay? It's time to get on a team that can put you there. Inside the league or not doesn't bother me. What I know to be a fact is last place teams have the least amount of ability to move you up the ladder. It is psychological. First place teams always place the most teams. Watch the video. I've got a video out there that deals just with this. And once again, the video's name is, for those that are paying attention, what is it? I'll help you out. It is the rankings don't work, and here's why, or the rankings are worthless, and here's why. That means take the time to watch that video and see every single league. The top teams always place the most amount of players up. So, if you're on the last place team and you're a leading scorer, first of all, here's another question to ask. If I'm playing on that top team in the league, am I still a leading scorer? And if not, do I get more of a challenge being a second-line player, a third-line player on the top team versus being a first-line player on the last team as far as the value of my growth path? Because you want to get better at the game at the same time you're getting exposed to another level. So 2 sides to that. Okay, here's the Nationals answer. Thanks, Kyle, for coming on with this. Nationals were pushed back to the end of April, and Central districts pushed districts to the end of March. Rocky Mountain has not done so. Not sure of others. Yeah, Kyle, thanks for that information. That's kind of where I'm dealing with these. You're not getting a lot of information from USA Hockey on how districts are laying out because that's not really their role, and you kind of got to wait. And clearly, if you're in Ohio, you're not too worried about the Rockies, and if you're in the Rockies, you're not too worried about what's going on in Florida. So there's not a lot of information that's shared on these different things. So, but thank you so much on that. I appreciate it. Somebody posted on here. Here's the link. That'll be in the comments there, so you can see the link on there. Hey, look, folks, I jumped into a lot of stuff tonight. I also have already been going for an hour. I wanted to go about 45 minutes tonight. I planned on getting done and going and watching the second half of the game I recorded, the NFL game that I recorded, so I could see what happened. But now I know I can go to bed on time tonight. So that'll be a good thing. Some of the topics we got coming up. First of all, I've got to put my beg out to you. We've still got a lot of people online. Remember, we're getting 15,000 to 20,000 people that are our reach. We're getting 5,000 to 7,000 people that are watching these videos, these live streams every week, mostly on replay. Please do me a favor. Invite your friends. Share this live stream. Make sure you're liking our Facebook page. It's so important to like that Facebook page for me. We're trying to get our numbers up to the point where we can actually get advertisement coming on board. We're real close. We are the fastest growing junior talk out there in a matter of 6 months. We've skyrocketed past everybody with our reach and with our exposure and how many people are watching these videos. Thank you so much, but it really is, we got to keep growing it. And because collectively this is your group. I'm here to serve you and answer your questions. You do a great job of helping me out. So please, I see this comment coming across. Thank you, Jeannie. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel and subscribe. That's also a big help. Just jump on, get off here, just open up a new browser, go to our YouTube page, click on there. If you haven't watched the webinars, go on to the juniorhockey.com, juniorhockeyadvisor.com, and grab those webinars, watch them. Go to our group, like and follow that. It'll help me out a lot. I can keep this going. Here's the topics that are coming up. We're going to be doing the basics. We're going to break it all down from the basics again coming up soon. We're going to go into D1 hockey. We're going to do a whole nother section on this. We've done it before. We're going to talk about D1 hockey and the difference between the levels of D1 hockey. Just like youth and junior, just playing D1 doesn't mean it. Everybody thinks D1 it's all the same. No, it's not. There's a huge difference in the level of leagues. There's a huge difference in the level of quality of play in the different leagues. We're going to talk about the different flavors of D1 hockey. We're going to do that real soon. So those are some of the topics coming up. I thank you so much for tuning in. I thank you so much for watching tonight. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time.
Now listen, I want all of our friends and family to share this on Instagram and TikTok.